During my way to reach here, I happened to overhear a couple talking. I was not intending to eavesdrop, but there they were, so love and lovey-dovey. So the guy says, "Yesterday I got so mad at you." And the girl asked, "Why?" So the guy replied saying, "You were talking to your friends for so long. Don't do that to me, baby. I'm so possessive about you. I want you all for me." And the girl said, "Aww, you love me so much." How many of you feel it's so dreamy? And there I was, trying to figure out a way to tell her I see a possible red flag. Run. So let me ask you a question. How many of you can recognize red flags? Let me be specific. How many of you are able to see the red flag when the other person is waving it right in front of you? We like to believe we can. But when society normalizes and romanticizes abuse and red flags just like in movies, how can we recognize it, let alone speak up? I am Padmaja Evuri and I help women to see the red flags. And if it's too late, I help them to lay some strong boundaries to voice them out. And if that will start happening, because if you ignore the red flags long enough, it often becomes abusive relationship. So if it already started happening in their relationships, I help them to work on their boundaries, identify them, and voice them out by having courage. Let me tell you some facts here, just two. Fact number one, abuse often comes from those we love the most. The love and attachment that we feel for this person often clouds our judgment, making it hard for us to accept the signs. Fact number two, it's not that we don't recognize or see the red flags, because our instincts are so strong that it can actually tell us that there's something wrong, something is fishy. But we are trained to see positivity even in abuse. Let me show you some scenarios, tell you some scenarios, and then you tell me if you can see this happening around you. She told me that she gets jealous if I ever spoke to another girl. And I thought she is just being silly, because who gets jealous just for speaking to another person? I knew that he was lying and he was controlling me. But I was so naive that I fell for it. Gosh, I'm such a fool. Sounds familiar? As a relationship coach and self-happiness coach, I have seen firsthand how women not only ignore the red flags, but also takes 2 steps further in justifying the abuser's actions and also defending them. I mean, I know that women have a little more empathy, but come on. Abuse and abuser, you're justifying them? For instance, one of my clients said, he shouts at me way too often, almost like every other day. But it's just because he's stressed with work and he's the only person earning for the family. The least that I could do is be quiet and not irritate him. Another woman said, he controls me and doesn't let me be financially independent. But he's not a bad guy. In fact, he does love me, and he does help me around the house whenever he can. Yet another woman said, he asked me to put up with my in-laws' taunts and constant shaming because he cannot be decide. After all, it's his parents. And trust me, these women are asking me how to bear it better. They're not asking me so that they can come out of the situation. And mostly what they're asking me is if there's any magical solution that they can just apply and they can see the change happening, so that they don't have to confront the abuser or the partner because it's too scary for them. Just a couple of days back, a woman approached me saying her in-laws emotionally and physically abuse her and the husband stays silent. And one day he got so drunk that he physically abused her, where she ended up with a clot in her eye. And the justification that she gave was this: that it's all because of the in-laws. My husband is a good guy, apart from this one incident. I can't afford to lose him. You see, the justifications are the reasons why one would willingly ignore the red flags, because they see the abuser for what they can be rather than what they actually are. Allow me to speak through a woman's perspective, which I have seen throughout my work as a relationship coach for women. Tolerating disrespect and abuse isn't even half of the pain that they endure. It's the sacrifices and compromises that they make that often go unnoticed. Because when society has told us or made us believe that compromises and sacrifices are necessary for any marriage or relationship for work, and they made us believe that this is something that we have to do to make it work. Yes, I completely agree with the society on this, that compromises and sacrifices is necessary in any relationship. But to what extent? Compromising on one's self-happiness, sacrificing on one's self-identity or financial independence, letting go of their self-respect, or giving up on the basic right of having an opinion or voice. Where is the limit? Is there a limit? This lack of clarity can lead to a dangerous cycle when women are compelled to make more and more sacrifices, all in the name of saving the relationship. Because if every woman they know is going through something like this, I think they should too, right? It's very common. And some may even believe that they are somehow responsible for their abuser's actions. That if they are just being a better partner, things would be different. As a relationship coach, I've come to understanding that coaching women on relationships alone isn't enough. They should be able to find their self-happiness instead of sacrificing it. And that required them to have hope in themselves and not in another person. But they still continue to have this hope on another person because they somehow hear elders saying or society saying that things will change, people will change. So they hold on to that hope, hoping that the time will somehow change the person or the abuser will understand and change themselves. In most of the cases, that is all they have left, hope. And this is my everyday conversation with women. And this phenomenon is what I call false hope. If you place your hope in another person's will to decide your future and your life, know that you're a victim of false hope. And often the cost that they all have paid is losing their self, true self. Eventually, women come to their realization that they are not never going to change, they're never going to understand, nobody is going to support them. But by the time they reach this point, they are often found in the state of despair and hopelessness. They don't recognize themselves anymore. They don't know what gives them happiness anymore. They have no dreams or hopes for their future. So this is where I understand and implement self-happiness coaching. But for them to find hope, somehow we feel that they can just come out of it and then, think about future and everything is going to be there. Women, we are raised to have these kind of hopes because we have been told that you cannot do this. If you want to do something like this, do it after marriage. So we grow up to hope that the person that we're going to marry is going to give us all the things that we need. And that's the hope that we place in another person. But let me tell you, how can these women find hope after realizing this? Motivation isn't enough. Because motivation is just like coffee. Don't get me wrong, I love coffee. In fact, I'm addicted to coffee. But the reality is that the motivation that we are seeking from external sources will only have a couple of hours to work on us. After which, it's died off. But mostly because a person who feels hopeless, how can they even feel motivated? And this is where they will have to take a journey of self-discovery, where they discover their self-identity, self-esteem, and self-respect. This is where I also introduce them the concept called future self. Well, what is future self? Everybody knows what is inner child? So if you want to heal something in you, you go and connect with your inner child to take that journey. But if you want to find motivation or hope or make your dreams into a reality, it's the future self that you will have to connect with. But do you want to feel connected with your future self? Do you want to see how your future self looks like? So let's do this without feeling embarrassed about the idea or concept of future self, or without feeling the cringe that we are trying something new. I want you to relax a bit, lean back, close your eyes, and don't doze off. Close your eyes and follow my voice. I want you to imagine and visualize yourself just 5 years from now. You don't need to force it. Let the image come to you. Try to see something specific in that person. Maybe the color of the dress, the bag that they're carrying. Now I want you to look at the surroundings. Are they in office? Are they in college? Are they traveling? Try to imagine the surroundings. Now I want you to tell me the first thing that strikes very prominent in this person. Confidence, happiness. Are they peaceful? Or maybe they're just thinking rich. Whatever it could be. I want you to tell the person that you're going to stay in touch with them. Just say hi. You can open your eyes slowly. This exercise exercise, when done right, and when you connect with your future self frequently, he or she becomes your personal motivator, where they constantly tell you that there are better things for you in your future. Don't give up. Whatever that you are going through currently, that too shall pass. But I want you to ask yourself something. Do you have the audacity to keep your hopes alive? Do you have the audacity to believe in your future and stop misplacing your hope in another person? Do you have the audacity to dream big? Because if you have visualized your future selves, let me tell you one little story of my clients doing this. And I guarantee you, you could also be doing that. So when I asked the person, okay, meet your future self, I've made the exercise more peaceful than this. And I asked them to meet them and can you visualize 5 years from now what they will be doing? So the person said, I landed a job where I'm getting 1 lakh as per month salary. And I asked, why not 5 lakhs per month? Because sometimes we believe that this is the potential that we have. Dreaming anything more than this is like, daydreaming. Because we don't possibly believe that we can achieve it. So if you're putting something as this so-called limits, first thing for connecting with your future self or to find hope or to find constant source of motivation is to let go of this limit. So have audacity to dream big and have hopes in yourself. Thank you.